Hello and welcome back to Excel Automation using Modern Design Experience. In this two-part video, we'll learn how to use the newly added features to Excel Automation in Studio. In the first video, we'll showcase these features in a real-life scenario that'll use two input Excel files from different sources that each contain a different set of data. Using the files, consolidate them into a master Excel file. The first file, called Acquisitions, will contain columns such as document number, emission date, acquisition total, and supplier, while the second Excel file, called Sales, will contain document number, client name, and agent name. In the second video, after consolidating the data, we'll perform additional formatting and UI automation activities until we achieve the desired result. Let's begin. We'll start by creating a new project called Excel Data Consolidation and give it a description. Next, we'll add our two spreadsheets in the input folder. We'll continue by adding an Excel application scope. Update the Show Excel window properties to false and rename it. We'll rename the main sequence as well. Next, we'll add a Use Excel File activity. Rename it. Select our first Excel file, which is Acquisitions, and reference it as Acquisitions. If the file we want to automate wouldn't exist yet, we could checkmark the option and define a file with the same structure as a template in the Use Excel File activity. We'll leave it blank for now, since the files we want to work with exist. To remove any duplicate lines from our file, we'll add a Remove Duplicates activity. Select the sheet, which will be Acquisitions, and add in the columns to compare field, the document number. Let's add a second Use Excel File activity and rename it Month Report Paste Acquisitions Sheet. In the Excel file, we'll enter the Output Month Report file path and reference it as Month Report. We'll continue by adding a Copy-Paste Range activity, where we'll select the Acquisitions sheet as the source and the Month Report Sheet Acquisitions as the destination. As you might have noticed, we can either simply select a sheet by clicking the plus sign of the field or by directly typing in the sheets that we're interested to reference. Okay. Our projects contain a large number of similar activities, so it's the best practice to name each activity specifically to its role within the automation. For example, we renamed our Use Excel File activity with a descriptive name, Use Excel File Acquisitions. Since we'll add as our next activity another Use Excel File activity, we'll be able to differentiate the two easily. This one will use the Sales Excel file, which we'll select from the workbook path, and set it as Input Sales and reference it as Sales. We'll add another Use Excel File activity. Rename it and add Output Month Report as the source and reference it as Month Report. Next, we'll add a Copy-Paste Range activity. Select Sales Sheet as the source and add as the destination Month Report Sheet. Let's minimize the Use Excel File activities for better visibility and continue by adding a new Use Excel File activity where we'll add the path of the month report file and reference it as month report. The data that we want to add in the output Excel file will contain 2 columns. For this, we'll go ahead and add 2 insert column activities. We'll name the first one Total Sales. Add month report.sheet for sales value in range field. And this will be added after the agent name. The header for this column will be Total Sales, so let's update it here. We'll do the same for the second insert column activity. Rename it to Profit per Sales. Set the range to the sales sheet. Select after the Total Sales column. As the header, we'll have Profit per Sale. Next, we'll add a For Each Excel row activity and rename it. As the range, we'll add Month Report Sheet Sales and checkmark that we have headers. Inside this activity, we'll use the VLOOKUP activity, which will help us to work out the acquisition total value. To achieve the result that we need, we'll add current row dot by field doc number in the value to look up. In the in range field, we'll add month report dot sheet acquisitions. The column index will be 3. And we'll save to VLOOKUP_value. To write our result, we'll require 2 write cell activities. We'll use the first activity to write VLOOKUP value plus VLOOKUP value times 0.2. As you can see, the error points out to an incorrect variable type, and to correct it, we'll update its type to double. In the Where to Write field, we'll add current row dot by field total sales. Before adding the second write cell activity, let's rename the first one to write cell total sales. Now let's copy and paste the activity, update the name to Profit per Sale, and remove this part of the value since we won't need it. We'll also need to update where to write the data, and that will be current row by field Profit per Sale. Let's also use the Auto Increment row for both of them. For the Where to Write section, we can either manually add the value as we've done previously, or we can directly pick the value that we're interested in. Perfect! Before we run our project, we need to make sure that we have the output folder already created. This is where our files will be saved. All good now. Let's run it. We can see the data being processed in Excel. And here is the result. Great! And this is it for the first part of Excel automation with the Modern Design Experience. In the next video, we'll get to use additional Modern Design activities and add a bit more complexity to our project. Before we end the video, let's quickly recap what we've learned. We must use the Use Excel File activity to handle Excel files. To remove any duplicate lines from an Excel file, we can use the Remove Duplicates activity. To copy and paste a range, we can use the Copy-Paste Range activity. To add or insert a new column, we can use the Insert Column activity. To iterate through each Excel file row, we must use the For Each Excel Row activity. To perform VLOOKUPs in Excel, we can use the VLOOKUP activity. To write a specific value in a cell, we can use the Write Cell activity. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.